Good morning, all. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to another Brew and Activate. Good to see folks there in the chat. Shannon, good morning. Yeah, a little tough this morning for me to roll out of bed and get things going here, but hopefully the audio is doing good. Yeah, we're going a little, whole hog today here. Let me just get rid of some stuff here so it doesn't get so cluttered. But good to see everybody this morning. It's been a tough morning. I've already spilled coffee on myself twice. So I don't know where this is going to lead, but, it's not really good when we're talking about batteries today. So we'll try not to mix them both. But let's see who, Andrew, good morning. Good to see you there in the chat. Well, let's kind of get things going here. As I always like to start things out, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Brew and Activate. We're going to explore everything POTA and Parks on the Air today. So if this is the first time tuning in, welcome. I'm Eric, call signs N1JUR. And so, whether you might be an activator, you're a chaser, or, maybe you're just curious for the first time and you stumbled upon this live stream and you're new to the ham radio hobby, well, you definitely come to the right place. So I just like to kind of level set. So each week we're going to be sharing things in and around POTA. So for the next 60 to 90 minutes, we're going to dive into and start your Sunday morning off the right way, talking about Parks on the Air. And so I like to cover everything. We're not here just to, basically do a presentation for you. We want to get engaged. We love to see folks there in the chat there, say hello, and talk about things. Everything under the sun, where, good, the bad, downright interesting stories from parks in and around the Parks on the Air program. Like to talk about our activations. We're going to talk about things, tips, tricks, talk about all of our challenges. We're going to just kind of hang around here. So it's like coffee in the morning and POTA as well. So, two of my great favorite things that I like to do. So as I always like to say, grab your favorite brew or tea, get comfy, and let's get into it. All right. Let's just say hello to a few folks. I already grabbed you, said hello to Shannon. It's raining down there. That's not good. Yeah, we had that past couple of days. I tried to do a live stream where I did an antenna review live first time out and poured buckets. Mother Nature decided that it wasn't going to work out both for the live stream and the antenna. So, yeah, I totally understand that. Good morning, Andrew. Good to see you in there. And yeah, more people will start flowing in as, this is a tough time on a Sunday morning, but, I appreciate all you guys hanging out with us, and having some fun and talking POTA. All right. Well, so we always like to start, our, Brew and Activate off with a great POTA tip. And so I like to, spread these around, and I'm going to invite you guys. So if you haven't been over to our Discord yet and you haven't been part of it, the link to our Discord here, I'll throw that in the chat. Let me go grab that. Where did that little link go? My notes are so long that I can't find my own link to my Discord. Yeah, let me grab this. I know it's in here. I have this in the notes. Anyway, while I'm doing that, I'm going to have you head over to the Discord and come be part of this. And so what I want to do is we're trying to share some of our POTA knowledge. And if you've got a couple of good tips you'd love to share with me, and we'll do this every week, I'd love to have those. You can head over there and, add those to the Discord channel that we have called Brew and Activates with N1JUR. And so I have no idea where my Discord link went. Oh my gosh, sad. Okay, well, I will dig that up. I sadly don't have it in my notes, and I don't know why. But you can always head over. Let me just grab it here, and check that out. So our first POTA tip today is one of the things I like to do, and I've learned the hard lesson with this one, and maybe you have fell into the same hole, is that ever I used to do an activation, I never really knew what I was going into in terms of the park and location, and whether or not I had cell service, and whether I could spot myself. And if you guys remember those dark ages where you'd always have to like either ask a hunter, possibly if they could spot you, or they could hunt you, they could get you the park number and that type of stuff. I'd like learned very early on that, it's best to do a little bit of, recon before that. And so I heavily, if I'm going to go out and activate, whether it's, kind of a spur of the moment thing or I'm planning it for the day, I'll always open up a quick note on my smartphone and start. I actually have a note that I have that just kind of follows, subject field lines and that type of stuff that I can just fill in. And so if I'm going to a park I've never been to before, because I want to activate, I'll go in and grab the coordinates off of the POTA app, throw that into the note. I'll throw in the park number always. And I will then, basically from those Latin lawns, I will go in and add a Google Map pin and basically do a quick recon, both street view, everything around the park, just so I can get an idea of where, the most, best place location could be for me. And so I'll, note anything in that note. And then when I get to the park, if I happen to have cell service, all the better. But even before I even get to there, I'll take one step further. As I'm getting prepared to get there, I'll pop open Polo on my iPad tablet there, and get the park set up while I have total access and, get everything configured. So when I get to the park, even when I don't have cell service, I'm ready to rock and roll. And so, yeah, if you haven't incorporated that into your POTA activation plans there, then, I would say start doing that, and that'll give you a little bit more peace of mind when you finally get to the park and you can deal with all the other issues that might be going on with the activation in and of its own. Because I don't know about you, it's funny because like I did my live stream 2 days ago or 3 days ago on Thursday when the weather started to go bad, and I tried to beat the weather out. And then, of course, Murphy's Law and everything else like that kind of just domino affected the whole activation. And I ended up, once I getting set up under umbrellas, the rains were just so bad I had to move into the truck. And from that, I learned that, at least the park information and everything that was all set up in the tablet was ready to go. Although I didn't get to activate the park, I at least have one thing off my checklist that didn't, cause me stress and pain there. So yeah, that's a little POTA tip for this week. So we're going to dive into batteries. So hopefully, folks, are here to chit chat about batteries a little bit more, maybe share some knowledge. I've got some couple of things I want to go over. And so really today, if you're an active activator, you probably have a bunch of great batteries in your stable already that you use for, your quick activations, your QRP activations, that type of stuff. And you probably accumulated quite a bit of them. And we all know that the N+1 rule applies to pretty much every piece of equipment in ham radio. Batteries are no exception. And so we're going to do, a little shallow dive, because I think if we get really, really deep, this could go very, very long. But, maybe we want to pick it up and dovetail off or find another rabbit hole in future episodes talking about batteries. But today we're going to talk just, what might be the best battery for an activation that you might do, and how did you come to maybe conclusions about, say, size versus amp hours to things like durability, construction. Were you just the kind of follower and said, oh, hey, everybody does bioenno, I'm going to go do bioenno kind of thing. So yeah, we're going to get into that a little bit. And yes, Mike, you should just do a whole line of shirts that's just whether, something is killing ham radio. Ham radio could be killing ham radio eventually. So it's all good. So let's get into it. Let me just do a quick poke around here in the chat to say, everybody, good morning, Roger. And Andy, good to see you in there, sir. It's always a pleasure to see you hanging out there. And Mike is always a hello, Mike there. I'm trying to think if I missed anybody else in here. Yeah, I think I got everything. Oh, John, good to see you in there from Virginia. Always good to see you again. Appreciate you. And I see Sean in there. He's hanging out. And so, yeah, the usual crowd. That's great. I love it. And Mike, I'm glad you're here. The infamous, shirt I'm wearing, it would be very, customary and honorable to you. So, You see here's favorite Mike's shirt. So if you're into, things and t-shirts like this, Mike's has a great shirt line over on his website. You can check him out. He's always coming up with some really snappy slogans. As you can tell, he's killing ham radio. So yeah, this is give AM a chance t-shirt. Love it. Wear it in your honor this morning, since I haven't finished doing the rest of my cricket ham radio cups, inspired ham cups. So right now I've got a blank one here. Head over and check out Mike's channel there, and all of his great shirts are over there if you're into stuff like that and t-shirt collecting, because I am no different. My drawer is packed full. All right. So, okay. No problem there, Mike. Okay. So Mike's already on the ball there. He is pounding it out here. So we're going to do a quick poll here. So let me go over to my little poll machine. We got 2 polls going on that I want to run. So if you're first time doing a poll here, it's really, really simple. All you want to do is once I kick this puppy off, actually, I think it's already off. You guys might know already do. So in the chat, you just put the hashtag nomenclature next to it. So if you're seeing like your home broke battery, you can do that. Or here's the link. If you're so inclined to just do it from the browser, I'll post that in the chat here. So this is for our first chat here. This first question is, what batteries do you use when you're activating? There's a couple here. This is not the most complete list, but they are close. There are a few ones that silly little chat. Apparently, EV Mux does not like to delete entries here. So you've got some of the other stuff in here that is from our chat or our poll from last week. Let me get rid of the loop antenna, and definitely, there we go. Those are our battery options there. So let's not get confused with antennas from last week or the 2 weeks ago. Feel free to throw those in the chat there, and we'll see where we kind of stand for batteries in a couple of seconds or so. What is your favorite go-to? Like, I have always a few that I like to use, and I'm always interested in, seeing what other folks use and like to use. Oh, we got a couple others in there. Interesting. Yeah, all right. Okay. So let's bounce back to the main scene here. So actually, I'm going to dive over to our whiteboard. So we're going to play with some technology here. So I like to, kind of get things going here. So let me kill this section here. Delete. Can I reset this from here? Probably not. So I'm pulling around here. Let's go to whiteboard here and discard and create a new sheet. Let me get this tab going here. So, yeah, I am all about having some fun here. So what the heck is going on with this draw a new tab? There we go. Let's pull this. All right. So with today, what we're going to do while the poll is running, I'm going to show you my computer wizardry here. So, again, what I want to focus on today is, I should just cut and paste my notes and make things easier here. All right, we're going to talk about how to evaluate. So maybe you're just starting, into POTA, and you've maybe been doing it for quite a while. Let's get out of here. Come on. We're going to talk here. Let me go grab this. So how to evaluate batteries. And this has always been a conversation that I've had with every POTA presentation I kind of have done in the past for clubs or in talking to people. And we have, kind of gone down to, boiling it down to the, it depends route. And I know that's kind of, kind of passe to say in the ham radio world, but, as we all know, that there's definitely something to understanding how and what batteries can offer for you, as well as all the features they can bring to the table. And, we're going to dive into some of those, and it's not festures. Why is features? Thank you. Come on. Hey, why not? This is Monday morning or Sunday morning. We're just going to edit it here. So spell check does not want to work for my benefit here. So yeah, there's no such thing as festures. Well, there is, but you don't want them in ham radio or within, you know, your life there. So we're going to talk a little about, maybe you've been an activator for quite a while. And, what does your stable kind of look like? Do you have a collection of batteries? Are you building your own? Are you getting kind of into that stuff? And then the last one, is always a question I get asked a lot. Is how do you handle all of your charging scenarios? Like, what do you do when you're trying to deal with charging all those batteries, keeping them all topped off? What mechanism they're using? How are you charging your, say 100 amp hour batteries if you have those in your stable? Do you have a separate charger for that? You're running a 10 amp charger, 40 amp charger? The list kind of goes on and on. And so, yeah, we're going to kind of cover these three areas this morning, I should say. And, if you got any questions along in the chat, I will try to keep monitoring that. And we will definitely bring those to the surface. So let's go here. All right, so let's go back to the poll here, and we'll check out where we are. So if we're looking at the results here, we are surely looking at, as people are still plugging away here as they're coming in, no problem. It looks like the range here is, wow, interesting. Okay. Most of you guys are Bioenno users, which, from a standpoint, they are kind of we'll say the staple of ham radio operating, portal activating. I know when I got into the hobby, they were kind of one of the biggest names out there that everybody kind of knew. And it's good to see. The next one is homebrew or other. And Mike had noted real quick in his comments, he voted other there. And let me get, actually, yep, you can't really read that out. But Mike says, I voted other since I used the 5.5 amp hour Denko I built with my 705. Great little battery. Always in my car, ready to go. The shape of the 5 Denko fits in the pack I use now for the 705. Curious, Mike, if you want to throw in the chat there, what do you do to keep that battery topped off so it doesn't deplete? I mean, obviously, if it's not plugged into anything and whatever, it probably happily just sits there, waiting to be used. But when you take it out of the car and you've used it on activation, do you charge it within the car? Is there a charger there? Or do you have something that you use, from, the home, you bring it in and charge it at home? So curious, throw that in the chat. Bioenno, as we know, let me go over real quick. I've got a nice little bench cam here. I got set up with some of the batteries that I brought table. Mike mentioned Denko. We as a club, I reached out to Denko and got their club kit, and we built a nice simple Denko battery here. So this is the 5.5 amp hour one. This is not the original OG one in the clear packaging, but still a great little battery. I made a few mistakes in building that battery. I was still learning power poles, and if you haven't crimped your own power poles, you're going to have to learn the left-right, orientation, as well as connector pin outs and stuff like that, because it's a little tricky, especially if you're not paying attention and you can wire it up wrong or assemble it wrong and then have to undo it. I've done that quite a few things. Sean there. Yeah, Bioenno was always awesome. I have never heard anything bad about their customer service. They are wonderful in that sense. I really ever had any problems. The only thing I had with my Bioennos, and you can see on the very top one, which is this one here. I should get a pointer here. It would be very helpful, but I don't have one with me right now. Oh, actually, I do. 1 second. Let me go grab it. All right. So let's go back here. So that one here. So this battery was my very first one that I bought. That's a 15 amp hour. The light is kind of drowning out the sticker there. But I have taken on many trips back and forth, Florida, that type of stuff. The only problem I ever had with it is that it is not a plastic construction, or it's not in a case, and it's wrapped. And so, the wrapping can, chip and fray and whatnot. And eventually, as you keep going through TSA, they get more and more nervous when it's like that. That would be my only concern with the Bioenno battery, is that you really want to make sure you tape the ends or put clear tape on it, just so it doesn't catch or fray on stuff, because it will overuse. So If you ever want to get into travel, TSA, may throw a red flag on it. So, but yeah, bioenos have been, I've had that 4.5 years, 5 years now, and it's been humming along just great. So let's go here. All right, just scanning the chat real quick. All right, so let's get into some of the other things here. So let's start somewhere. One of the things I wanted to throw another poll in here and see where people sit, because I always find polls are interesting information. Let's get rid of the battery one here. Is what is your sweet spot for amp hours when you go out to activate? What are folks usually looking to do? Because I know we have some QRP folks in here. We've got some QRO people and that like to go out, 4 or 5 hours in some, times. So, feel free, throw in your, your sweet spot size there. I'm always curious to see, because I have yet, even though I built a 100 amp hour battery on my channel and did a video on it, yet taken that out to an activation. I apologize. I'll back that train up a little bit. I have taken it out once, but it was primarily when I was out in the cold, and I was in my truck, and I didn't want my truck battery to, get depleted. So it took back seat and sits behind the second passenger seat chair in the truck. So, that was the only time I think I've ever taken it out outside of maybe field day, if I took it to field day. So, sorry, I just trimmed that out there for you. So we'll let that plug away there a little bit and let you guys catch up on that. So back to our best battery for activation. So let's kind of talk some of the mainstream batteries that we all deal with or have come across. We obviously mentioned bioeno. That's a super popular one. Next one kind of rings a bell. Is Dakota Lithium. How many, have heard of them or know of them or use them at all? Throw a one there in the chat. Just let me know there. They are probably another U.S.-based company. So if you're interested in buying U.S.-based products, they are a great battery company. The one thing I like about Dakota Lithium that kind of sets them apart from bioeno is the fact that they have their batteries encased in say a hard shell. So if you're looking for a battery that is pretty much, maintenance free, does very little in terms of having to worry about the abuse it's going to take, Dakota Lithium does a pretty good job with that. They're very rugged outdoors. And from what I hear from both a few folks that use them heavily, they are very good in cold weather. So if you're up here in New England, those batteries definitely are a good opportunity to get out and do outdoor cold weather activations, and having those available are definitely a good plus. A couple other ones, although I wouldn't say they are as mainstream in the ham radio hobby, but are definitely probably in the RVing and battery and solar worlds. Miati, I know HR2O sort of uses them a little bit or had used them in the past. I have not had a chance to get my hands on one, although they are, from what I understand, very budget friendly. So, if you guys have any feedback or comments on, Miati, maybe you have a couple yourself, always curious to see what your thoughts are and how they work. Given maybe a fair shake at them for a low budget kind of entry level battery. And then we got, I don't know how this slipped into my notes here, but Battleborn. And Battleborn for me has always been more about, off-grid kind of things. They have been sort of sneaking in, but they are more in the larger size of battery. So if you're looking for 100 amp hour plus kind of configurations for maybe, your RV / long-term off-grid shack setups, Battleborn might fit the bill for that. They are very good in that space. But then you get the two or three other ones that are ring a bell are Renology, Echoworthy, and Talent Cell. Talent Cell, I have not had really good luck with. They're always the information and feedback I've gotten from them on both their size and amp hour ratings have been, we'll say, a little off. So I find, if you're looking for batteries, kind of stay away from them. Maybe check into either Dakota or Miati. Echoworthy and Talent Cell, or sorry, EcoWorthy and Renology. EcoWorthy, have not ever seen much about them. I think from once I started EcoWorthy, it kind of gets then into maybe some of the Chinese batteries that are out there. So the Redodos, those types of things that, I haven't dealt with much of the small ones, and I haven't seen a lot of ham radio YouTubers either talk much about any of the smaller, amp hour batteries in that sense. So it was always, one to check out there. And then Renology. I know, many other folks have used them, have done reviews on them. And that's the one thing about ham radio that I love the most. It's like in any area of ham radio, at least in the YouTube space, you could type in, search terms, what's the best battery, and you'll get like 50 reviews on them because it's a very, it's a very integral part of our hobby. I mean, we can't obviously do the hobby without the batteries. And so what better than to kind of consider doing that with your hobby itself. So, all right. Sorry, I'm just getting confused. You guys are really chatty this morning. That is totally awesome. I am super psyched to see there's good stuff going on there. And everyone is roaring. Let me see here. Just scanning the chat here. So looks like if we go back to the poll here, 20 amp hours is kind of the sweet spot, which I sadly wasn't surprised because I think overall, it's the best mix for the size and benefit. And I think the one I have here, this is my 15. No, this is my 15. Oh, no, this is my 12 amp hour. So this one I have here is, and you can't see it because the camera loves to, there we go. That's my 12 amp hour one. So for size wise, comparison to my hand, a 20 amp hours, just probably like a half inch, maybe a little bit more in capacity, height, width, length. But that's being loaned out to a new ham in my club to get them on the air. So that should be coming back to me. But yeah, my 20 amp hour is always kind of my go-to. I grab it and it gives me, I think on average, 2 or 3 times I've tested it. I've been out on 1 or 2 activations that were like 4.5 hours, 5 hours long, and was running 100 watts with very little, problems whatsoever. It's only when I got to a certain point, after the 5th hour that I started to, have the radio cut out a little bit, but it was getting to its slow decline. And not holding 11 amps or 11 volts as strong as it should. So always a good battery for sure. All right, so okay, so yep, 12 amp hour, good there, Roger. Yep, 2 is 1 and 1 is none. With it, again, this is our motto: N+1 always. You can never have a backup to a backup. And if I know I'm going to be doing a Rove. I know I did a Rove a while back. That was, the big thing. I had 2 or 3 batteries waiting in the wings. They were all charged up and ready to go. And so it always kept us, going no matter what. And power was not our concern for us or a worry. All right. So let's, let's see here. All right. So, oh, Tortoise Overland. Good to see you in there. Yeah, I know, dude. Why are you awake? Yeah, I know. It's tough for you, man. But hey, we all just say grab a cup of coffee. If you're a tea drinker, fine. Get fueled up and you join in the conversation. It's good to see you. All right, so let's keep plugging away here. So we're talking batteries as always. So those who just jumped in there, Digital Rancher, good to see you, buddy. Always. We're chit-chatting about batteries today. So if you've got you missed a couple of the polls, but feel free to chime in along the way. Let's talk some of the things you want to pay attention to when you get into batteries, and maybe some of the things I would love to see future-wise would be kind of cool for batteries. I mean, we see it in the larger units, 100 amp hour plus, but one of the things and actually you probably can't get batteries today without it, especially the ones we use, is they all have great BMSs. Most of the BMSs in these will provide you, obviously the coverage and the overcharging voltage as well as undercharging. So your cells keep pretty well balanced and charged themselves. But they are pretty well built. I think even in my battery from Denko, the one Denko provides, this one, a nice little BMS, I have never had an issue with it. Actually, it's really, really good in terms of keeping the cells balanced and charging, and never had any issues with any over voltage or under voltage charging with it. Now, I'm sure cold weather, this battery is not going to do well by any stretch of the imagination. There's really not a lot of protection, and there's no way to keep this battery, from really killing itself in cold weather. But it can be a concern. So when you're looking, and we should back the train up here. So when you're looking for a battery, one of the things is obviously, what does that BMS provide you? Can it provide you output ratings? A lot of the bigger batteries today, like if you look at 100 amp hours from Ruinology and Redodo and all of those guys, they've got a Bluetooth app. It would be pretty cool. I would love to see maybe in the future, having a Bioenno battery, and maybe there are, and I just haven't, had a need to go shopping for a smaller size battery. Or maybe there's a limitation, I don't know, or it's not really worth the effort to put something like this in there, but it would be really cool to be able to take one of these batteries and be able to, monitor it via Bluetooth. I know I've got a watt meter that I put in line to my radio and the battery just to keep an eye on it. But it'd be pretty cool if I could do that via Bluetooth on a smaller battery, just to see, hey, I've got another way to monitor, over long term, and just be able to kind of keep all of my batteries under one little app. That'd be kind of cool for me. And so, yeah, if you're out there listening, battery manufacturers, or you have an in, maybe we should convince them to start, equipping their batteries with those capabilities, and see, if we can get it as a feature out in the field. The other things, we kind of got an interesting breakout. I did a quick chat GPT AI kind of, ask there, is because if you're not doing it now, you're way behind the times, as I was told. So, it kind of did an interesting breakdown of a lot of the brands. And I found some of the stuff that it came back with, I had to kind of just do a confirm, because it looked like it was just pulling marketing literature. But overall, I think it ranked some of the batteries by analysis, because I said, hey, go out and give me everything you can for 20 amp hour batteries, LiPo 4, all of the manufacturers that are out there that are very popular, and tell me what would be, the best breakdown, and give me, bullet points on each of the batteries. And so let me kind of get into that a little bit here. And so it took the top three, we'll say Bioenno, Dakota, the Miati, and Ruinology, and it broke it down, and it took and put by ranking the top three, which was obviously Bioenno, Dakota Lithium with the next taking in second, and then it was a very close third between Miati and Ruinology. And I was very impressed to see that the differences weren't much, they weren't so far off. And so I'm making that point for the purpose of that no matter what battery you kind of get these days, and if you haven't come to that conclusion yet, maybe you've been activating and seeing stuff out there, that you're not going to go wrong with whatever one you can afford. And it really just boils down to a factor of how many amp hours you want to run and how much you want to actually, pay in your budget. Obviously with, larger, newer, popular manufacturers, yeah, you're going to pay for, the name, and you're going to pay for a lot of the other things that, you may, get with that product. But there's not much differences, at least in terms of the 20 amp hour, range. And so let me share some of that with you. So Bioenno, it said its strengths were very much, it's well regarded in the ham radio, which we already knew. Although, and I didn't even know this, but I had them fact check this to make sure, was that they said Bioenno is endorsed by ARRL. I don't know. Anybody can confirm that for me, because I think that's a little surprising to put in, there, but it was confirmed, at least they cited the sources to it. It's got great BMS protection. It's stable output, which we all know, and it's RF quiet. I have never had any problems with it. Great durability. It withstands a lot of abuse. Good temperature variations, can handle those. Best with any radio up to 100 watts, which, most of our radios today, if you're an 891, user, or any of those, kind of portable models, yeah, 100 watts is, kind of the norm. it's funny that most of their cells that they sourced are from Asia, but everything's packaged and built here in the USA. And actually, I'm just going to pause here real quick because I did see. Thank you, Digital Rancher, for the $2 super chat there, my friend. I appreciate that. Yeah, 3 amp hour battery. That'd be really cool to have for being able to do monitoring and whatnot. So back to some of the details here. Dakota Lithium. And this one that, kind of just goes in line with what I was mentioning earlier, rugged construction. If you've ever dealt with Dakota Lithium, you know that they almost are built like a regular car battery in the plastic case. So you've got the strength and durability of the materials, and they are very built for cold weather. So if you're in New England or you have cold weather where temps drop a little bit, where batteries do not like to sit, that might be a good choice for you, especially in their smaller models, being able to, keep all of that under, good controls and not have to worry about, batteries, failing because of cold weather. And they're the only ones so far that I was surprised at in terms of their warranty. So if you're a big warranty guy and you love to see, the longevity of the battery and the warranty go with it, they're at 11 years, which is pretty good. I mean, I think Bioenno's 3 or 4. Don't quote me on that one. You can find that up on their website. If someone really knows what their warranty is, you can post that in the chat there real quick. They have obviously the same thing with Bioenno. They're high quality. They do a lot of cell matching, which, I'm sure Bioenno does too as well. Most manufacturers are pretty much trying to do that just for longevity of batteries and stability. And they quote themselves as a mid to high power rig. So 200 amp, 200 watts, that kind of stuff. I mean, for us doing activations, excuse me, in the field, you're only probably running 100 watts. I only know of a couple of ham radio operators that just divided to probably a kilowatt, but then, you're in a different, genre of battery at that point. And they, in terms of weight ratio to amp hours, tend to be a little bit more heavier. So if you're an activator that doesn't like to travel more than, a couple of 100 yards or less than 100 yards to your activation position, they may be a good fit for you. And so, those are kind of some of the bullet points with Dakota. And then the last one that kind of took the tail end of the top 3 there is Miati. And, I don't have a Miati one. Like I said, mostly Bioenno for me, and, Redodo when it comes to 100 amp hour plus. They basically fall into taking the working man's battery, in this top 3 matchup. The good performance for the price. They've got mixed reports on durability, and I'm not surprised with this one because I haven't seen much of them recently, or people using them out in the field. Recently, I have seen a few, but what has kind of stepped into the gap for that, we'll say, working man's battery, that I call it, has been a lot of the Chinese-based batteries. So Redodo, trying to think of, you can go over to Ham Radio Tube's channel, and he's got a brand new battery that he reviews all the time. That's in some form of Chinese manufacturing, which kind of made Miati suffer a little bit because I guess they had troubles with their BMSs. Durability was pretty rough and tough sometimes. And according to, the summer here, voltage drop occurred a lot. They aren't really great for, high power activations, more for the QRP stuff, which, if you do QRP, you can get away with, things like this. This is my 6 amp hour one. No, this is my 4.5 hour, 4.5 amp hour, Bioenno here. You can get them a little larger. I have a 9 amp hour one that I just didn't, bring with me today. But they I guess kind of struggle a little bit. But maybe that has changed. So if you got Miati in your battery stable, let me know in the chat there. And always curious to see your input. Or you can always head on over to the Discord. And let me again. I'm gonna go grab this because I thought I had it. In terms of the Discord link here, because I'm sure if you haven't joined our Discord, you probably want to. Let me go grab this note here. Come on. Where is it? Okay, yes, I deleted it out of my notes here. So this is our Discord link. So if you haven't joined our Discord, you can head on over. This is the Live Free and Ham Discord. This is also, the Discord channel that you want to join is called Brew and Activate with N1JUR on Sunday mornings. And feel free to come hang out. The Live Free and Ham community is super busy. Myself, Grouch, and Todd all hang out there, and it's got some really cool stuff going on. But hey, join over on the channel. It's called Brew and Activate with N1JUR, and let me know what your experiences are with Miati or any of those other, say, manufacturers that we might have not touched on, because sharing is caring is what kind of comes to mind here. So the more we know, the more we can share with folks, the more you guys can continue to grow and be better activators, be better ham radio operators. You be equipped with knowledge that you might not have had before, and it's always one of those things that I get super excited when I start to see people like do stuff like that, to be able to like help another ham along in their journey and do what we call mentoring. And it's funny, we should talk about mentoring one day in the POTA world as a topic, because everybody in the POTA world that I've come into that's never said, hey, I'm a mentor, I've walked away going, dude, you're a mentor. What you just did was mentoring. So, or Elmering, if we want to get really deep. And I know people like to make that distinction very clear, but all in all, the more we can help each other, the more we can do some great fun and learning in the POTA hobby for sure. So, all right, let's go to our next point here. Let me go back to my right notes here. So how do we maybe take what we've learned so far in terms of some of these batteries and turn it into what we need to look for when we get out in the field? So obviously BMS protection is important, because we want to make sure our batteries don't kill our radios and vice versa. We want to make sure things like in the BMS world, you got mentioned before, like low cutoff, overcurrent protection, all of these features should probably be built into your battery already. If you have an older battery that may not have those capabilities, I would just throw caution into your activation in the future, just to monitor that stuff a little bit better. I have run into a few folks when they started in the hobby, they were using lead acid batteries. Now, I feel bad for their backs, first and foremost, carrying those things. But at the same time, you use what you got, and lead acid's not a bad thing, but in essence, I would start saving the pennies for something more, current and recent, just both for your back and, being able to do portable activations in places that, may not have the convenience to be able to walk from your car or operate directly from your car. And you don't have to worry about those, scenarios where older batteries have, the features like we discussed it, or don't have those features, and need to basically keep themselves, from destroying your radio. So is someone keeping track of that? Sean, if you want to be the holder of, awarding points for attending class, I appreciate you can be the teacher's pet, Sean. No problem. And so other things. Cycle time. This is something that's not talked about, I don't think. I have not had a conversation with a lot of hams on cycle times with batteries, because we look at that number and go, we'll never reach it. But, if you've used your batteries pretty active in the ham radio hobby, each of those cycles, each of the times of charge cycles, discharge cycles count. And to get to 2,000 is a long way, or 5,000 or whatever they offer in the battery. It's something to keep in mind, especially when you're thinking about purchasing a battery, because as I saw earlier in the chat, I think Tortoise mentioned it, all the prices are starting to kind of creep up and increase if they haven't already in terms of batteries. You're going to have to make sure your pennies stretch a little farther for buying that next battery. You don't want to run into a place where you can't activate because you maxed out the battery, the capacity of the battery starts to drop. And so one of those things to keep in mind, that even though I mentioned a life cycle of a battery might be lower or higher, it doesn't mean that the battery just stops working. It just means that your quality and the condition of the battery may start to degrade faster may start to, fail on you quicker, may not be able to put out as much voltage as you might want. All that was, kind of those things you have to kind of think about. And then connector type, we didn't really touch upon that, but I mean, I don't know about you. I've swallowed drank, I should say, heavily the power pole juice there. So all of my batteries, all have power poles on them and the connectors because, everything's power poled. Today you go out into a field day or you go out to a POTA event, everybody's got a power pole. There's very rarely that I've ever seen nobody have one. And so it's kind of the standard. So get on the bus, as I say. So if you haven't power poled your stuff, start thinking about that. It'll make things much easier, especially if you're going out and doing activations with other people and your battery, fails on you or whatever, you can easily just plug in a new one and go. Oh, I like teachers' pets. Anyway, good to see you there, Chris. And we'll go back to the chat in a bit just to say hello to a few more folks. Good to see a lot of people in the chat this morning. And then the last piece, which I don't know if, I've ever heard of a problem quite yet in terms of batteries and RF quietness when I'm out in the field. Just I may have been spoiled and I may just, because I deal with, primarily a couple of manufacturers that are really good in that space. Never really had a problem with RF quietness, but it might be something, to consider, especially when you're getting into larger batteries and, having bigger BMSs and things of that nature that may do Bluetooth. It's definitely something to be concerned with. And then the last piece, which is really only for folks that are in, cooler climates or, cold climates, like up here in the Northeast, it gets pretty cold in the winter times. And so one thing I'm starting to learn, especially with my larger 100 amp hour, is I bought a Redodo 100 amp hour without the heating element in it. And I took it out for one activation. I used to like to leave my batteries in my car, and not having those heating components in that element. And a good example is I've got an All-Star node in my car that's a 9 amp hour battery. And it doesn't have the heating element in it. And I had to buy a small little heating blanket just to keep the batteries in the colder weather from basically just ceasing to exist and getting into hibernate mode. That, it's something to consider. And so if you're building a battery and you have a way to keep the battery, temperatures pretty consistent, then do it if you're in cold weather. But if you're not, then, that may not be a deal breaker for you. All right, so let's just kind of scan the chat real quick here. Good to see you in there, Chris. Falcon 880, good to see you. First time. Thank you guys for joining. I appreciate you. And if you haven't already, and I kind of skipped over this, just a couple of things. I know last or two Sundays ago, just if you're new to this and you've just stumbled upon us, we get together every Sunday morning. Again, we're Brew and Activate. Brew can be a wide, swath if you're, a tea or coffee drinker or say some other drinker at 9 in the morning. You're all welcome to come hang out. And we just, for the next 90 minutes or so, we talk POTA. We talk everything. Last week was a really good one. We shared stories about, people who cheated, people who act like lids, so we're going to compass everything over this long haul. And we get together for about 90 minutes on Sunday morning. So again, you're all welcome. You're all welcome to come hang out in the chat. Hopefully in future shows, I'm going to start to open up, conversations for folks to jump on and we can do, invite you in on the live stream to talk about other future topics. So all that being said is, like I said, head over to the Discord, be part of that, channel there. I usually post a lot of stuff there and questions and getting stuff ready for the next episode that we have every Sunday morning at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So with that, I always like to promote. And so we've got a lot of folks that have supported us both as my channel and doing everything under the sun when it comes to POTA. So let me just do this here. I always like to, and let me pull, doing all of this on the fly. I need like a full-time production person here. Let me go get rid of the live chat real quick here. All right, so let's just do a quick pause here. I just wanted to kind of bring in, silly me. I could have left the live chat on. I was smart enough to fix this, so you guys get to still be part of it. Yeah, so again, Discord. There's the link. The link's in the chat. As always, don't forget to come join on that. And if you're obviously into antennas, and when you're in ham radio, you got to have an antenna. I thank you for Mad Dog for partnering with us and supporting us and the channel. I love Marty over there. He's always coming out with some great stuff. I have Great out in the background because I want to keep it hidden for a while. One of his newest projects that I'm going to be finishing up the video on. So that's coming out this week. And we are looking to evaluate one of his Lazy Dog antennas. So if you've seen that on his own channel, we will be doing a review of that antenna. And I have to say, it is a awesome design and awesome antenna. I love the new features he's building into that. So as always, head over to Marty's channel, Marty's store over at Mad Dog Coils, and check out all of his antennas and everything that you got offering. And, we can't forget Matt. Matt's a great friend of ours. He's been a great supporter. Him and I, met 4 or 5 years ago. We've hit it off, been great friends. He is a great supporter of this channel. And so, hey, if you need that new Reliance antenna, and I don't know if you've noticed, but if you're on his Instagram, he's, we'll say, alluded to a new antenna that he's launching. And that'll be out soon. And he's taking pre-orders on that. I'm actually going to get my hands on that one soon. So, feel free to head on over his channel and text stuff off. And you can always use my coupon code to get 10% off and free shipping. So if you need to get another antenna, or maybe you need more wire, or, maybe you need that one-to-one choke that he's got out there, then that is definitely, something you can use to save some money on and, help support Matt over there. And finally, as always, hey, help support the channel. We're always doing some great stuff. I'm trying to ramp up a few new bigger projects this year. And always enjoy folks that can help support the channel. And that description link and everything that's there in our Patreon or buy us a coffee link there. And we can always appreciate all the support and all the folks that have supported us in the past and continue to support us going forward. So enough with all that. And you can always learn more, which, head over to n1jur.com and learn more about me, everything channel-wise, and all the cool stuff I'm doing. I'm actually going to be doing a revamp of that website in the coming weeks with some more great materials. And like I alluded to when we first started Brew and Activate, we're going to put together kind of an online POTA book. So everything we kind of discuss in this channel, I'm compiling into a working, we'll say, manual for someone who might be new to POTA, someone who might be in the POTA environment. And it's really just going to be kind of like a full soup to nuts book of all the stuff that we share and we talk about in this, Brew and Activate, live stream here. And so, yeah, if you want to help contribute to that, get some more stuff, I'll be always asking for that going forward. So always love adding what you guys can, contribute, and we'll definitely give you the credit for it. So everyone kind of gets to be part of something really cool and that we can share with the community as a whole. So, all right. Okay. Yes. Sean, yeah, the choke is coming up. Now, here's a little secret. If you don't know, Live Free and Ham is doing a 24-hour POTA in September. And so that date is September 8th, 7th and 8th, I think it is. Yeah, or 8th or 9th, that weekend, the first weekend in September. 24 hours, we are going to be live streaming our POTA, obviously, and people will come and camp out and all that other stuff. And if you want more, you can head over to Live Free and Ham and learn about that. But one of those things is we're going to be doing a buttload of giveaways. Matt is coming to hang out with us, and he's bringing a truckload of stuff to give away. The chokes are in there. So, you can, we'll have a couple to give away for sure during that weekend. And so you might be able to win one that way. Or, hey, if you can't wait, head on over his website, buy the choke. It's definitely worth the money. I love them. I've got the XL. I've got the smaller version with the BNCs on it for my, QRP bag, and all of that great stuff there. Yeah, motorboats can definitely cause a lot of those, and that choke will drown it out. If you don't have coax, like I have got an ABR, coax with the ferrite beads on it. But most of my regular verticals don't have them, so I've outfitted every bag with it and have been very happy with them. So, go grab one of those. So, all right, how can we? Yes, a metric butt ton. Yes, that is a actual valid measurement for sure, and we'll be giving a lot of that stuff away. So, all right, let's kind of put a little bow on this. So, how do we get to the last part here, which is, what do you think, is the best fit for you? Well, that's the $10,000 question that we all say. Well, it depends, and I think really what for me, after I kind of did a lot of this research and kind of talking about batteries in general is, or learning more about batteries in general, is that it boils down to budget. And the best thing I can say is that you're going to find a battery out there, whether it's the lower entry level one like a Miati, or your top end like Bioennos, Dakota Lithiums, Renologies. Those batteries are getting more popular as POTA continues to get more popular, and therefore manufacturers are going to take advantage of that. So best thing to do is this. If you go out with a bunch of other guys and gals to do POTA, pay attention to what they have. Learn kind of what they've got. I've even asked a couple of times, or been asked a couple of times, would I be willing to sell one of my batteries, which I always thought was odd because it's a used battery and it's not like you're going to gain more like a value of a radio does when you sell it off. But I've sold a couple of batteries to a couple of hams who were just like, they kind of had analysis paralysis because they overanalyzed everything and they couldn't make a decision because, for whatever reason, their algorithm wasn't behaving the right way and wasn't giving them a result. So yeah, I've recognized that. So I would throw out to you, you wise activators that have been doing this for a while. If a ham asks you what battery to use, lend them yours for a little while, because if you've got a couple in the stadium, in your stable, then you can afford to miss one or two for a little while they're out there playing with it. Give them the charger. And I use like Bioennos. When I buy them, I usually buy a charger with it, and it's a simple inline charger. Let them borrow it for a little while. Let them get a feel for it, because that usually tends to be the last thing in their item, maybe outside of the antenna, that they'll go out and buy the radio because that's the easiest thing, because they buy the most popular radio, and there's not a lot of radios out there that, are in the 100-watt range that most people can, pick or choose from. So they'll do, an 891 as a kind of the best buy for the buck. So let them borrow your battery, show them how to hook it up, show them how to charge it, and then let them try it a little bit, get familiar with it. And you'll be surprised, because it'll ease a lot of their stress of trying to decide to pick the right battery. Because I don't know about you, like I know when I first got in the hobby, I had that same feeling. It's like, well, what if I get the wrong battery? Well, what if I get the wrong size? Or what if, this or that? And I ended up doing just the opposite of, like, I just bought because batteries were so easy and money was plentiful at the time when the hobby and the solar cycle was so high that, like, heck, I was doing well. And so I bought 3 or 4 batteries, along the ways of all different sizes, just to experiment so I could understand better. But not a lot of people usually can. So, I would say, yeah, let them try your 20 amp hour, let them try your 15 amp hour. And then just walk the walk with them and give them the best understanding that they can. And it will ease some of their pressure on them buying a battery, because then they can say, oh, well, I can get away with the lower, working man's battery more than, buying a name brand battery. So yeah, help them along in that way, and it will get them going. And then that way they can make a change, along the way, but give them that proverbial N+1, because we all have shared it. I've seen it fly by a couple of times. We don't just have one battery. We all have many batteries for many different things, for many different reasons. And you're never going to only have one battery that does everything. That's the nice thing about the hobby, but also the expensive part of the hobby for sure. So always keep that in mind. When they're learning, because that's, a question that I'm sure a lot of us have gotten asked. and a lot of us, don't have a short and quick explanation for. All right, so let's do kind of quick wrap up. I was originally going to throw all the POTA links in there for all the battery manufacturers, but you guys can all Google those. And if you want more of this detail stuff from my notes, let me know. I can always put that in the Discord channel there and share some of this stuff for you if you want to use it for maybe your future POTA presentation, if you're going to do one for your club. And maybe, your club's just starting to get into POTA. This is definitely some helpful information for them and to share with folks. All right. And then I guess the last one, and this one kind of was an interesting one that I thought ChatGPT spit back at me. It was like, I said, after all of that analysis, what do you think would be the best battery for me? And I gave it 2 scenarios of, my activation style. And I said, well, what can you do if I was, say, I was going to a beach and I was going to, be setting up, a vertical antenna and in a small space and, have ocean and all this stuff. And so it kind of broke it out into 2 things, and it didn't surprise me. It said, obviously, if you're going to do lightweight, so if you're going to do that QRP type activation, you're going to do something where you need to worry about weight as a savings factor. It said everything, go with the BioNO. And actually, I was very surprised. It gave out a couple model numbers. It said BioNO BLF 1212. So that's a 12 amp hour one. Or they said, heck, if you need to go a little smaller, do the 6 or the 9 amp varieties. And that'll work very well. And it listed all of the reasons why, which is the best BMS, portability, quiet, RFI, or EMI, and all of the other stuff that goes with it. And then the BMS is hard to beat. And then I said, well, okay, what happens if I'm going to run full QRO and go that route? And it came back and said, well, dude, that's no problem. Dakota Lithium 10 amp hour. So if you're looking at those batteries, that might help you, make a decision to get your first battery. Both of those batteries are very great batteries, and you will not go wrong with them for sure. And both of them will give you a lifetime, well, close to a lifetime of enjoyment in playing and operating in the activation. So, what do you guys think? Is that a fair statement? Say, those 2 options are a good kind of trade-off based off of a lightweight or versus a high power kind of scenario. Let me know there in the chat. I'm just going to scan the chat here real quick. Just say hello to a few folks I might have not said hello to. Good guys. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, it's always good to see you guys. It's awesome that the chat is buzzing. Good to see you guys. Thank you again for supporting me and the channel. I appreciate it. It's always good to see familiar names and faces, and I'm hoping, as we continue to go along and as I start to get to a place where I'm getting out more into, some of the bigger venues, I'll be able to meet you guys face to face, have an eyeball QSO. That's what I'm always looking for the most. So, keep it coming, guys. We'll definitely cross paths soon. Let's see what else we got here. Yep. Tortoise said power poles. Yep. Standard for Racies and Aries. Is Racies still a thing these days? I always thought it was just Aries. But yeah, that it is the de facto standard for pretty much everything. And we should do an episode on power poles and connectors because I'm in IT, and one of the things I hate the most are dongles. If you've all been, in that world where USB-C is trying to take over, dongles are a pain in the ass, but we all kind of live with them. Power poles and connectors are no different. And it might be worthwhile to have an interesting discussion on what do you keep in your bags for connectors, because I've got quite a few of them, and I'm finding I'm still short on a few that I really wish I had. So, yeah, definitely a good conversation there for sure. Cool. All right. Well, Shannon, thank you again for hanging out. As always, appreciate you. Thanks again for being part, and get out and activate. Man, I love the fact that you're out doing it on Sunday morning. And actually, that good dovetail, I can't leave him out. Grayman Poda and I kind of share the same time slots on Sunday mornings, but we do something totally different on either side. He's out there doing an activation and sharing his activation with folks on his channel. And he's been doing it for quite a while. And so I want to, just throw out a plug for him. So if you haven't gone over his channel, say hello to him. He's probably still activating even after we kind of wrap up here. But it is, one of those things that there's plenty of space out there, plenty of opportunities. But, I want to share. I want to get back and forth and talk more about POTA because it's a passion of mine. And, I want to share what I have and then learn from you guys as well. So I'm glad you guys are enjoying this and, continue to let me know. Leave some comments in the chat down below because it helps get this video and other things into other people's views there so they can learn more about POTA and ham radio because I'm all about, professing the great hobby that we are in, So all good. So I guess with that, guys, hopefully this was helpful for you and it's something that you guys can glean some information from. And all I ask is, heck, if this is the first time you're visiting and if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit the subscribe and like button and definitely share it. If you guys are on a bunch of other Discords, feel free to share this every morning because the more people we have in it, the more we can learn from one another and just continue to grow this hobby and evolve it and make it better. Be part of that. And as always, thanks again. I appreciate from the bottom of my heart, and I can't say it enough. Thanks for tuning in for Brew and Activate. Thanks again for being part of my channel. And I hope you enjoyed all of the stories, the trips, the tips, the tricks, the things, all of our adventures. Remember, whether you're activating or chasing, the key is always, always have fun. That 3-letter word. If you aren't having fun, then you got to step back and figure out why, and then course correct and get back into it. Stay safe and keep exploring. And as always, until next time, I'm Eric, N1JUR, signing off. Keep your radios on, the PTT down, and POTA on.